Hello friends, in this video I am going to discuss Article 32, the soul of Indian Constitution. Article 32 enshrined in Part 3 of the Indian Constitution is the most fundamental in nature and designated as right to constitutional remedies. It is the most important fundamental right available for the Indian citizens. Without Article 32, all other fundamental rights are just like a cobra whose poisonous teeth are removed. Because of its significant features, it is described as heart and soul of the Indian Constitution by Dr. Ambedkar. So in this video, I will discuss the provision described in Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. Let's begin with the introduction. Right to constitutional remedies. Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, Chapter Fundamental Rights, Subchapter Right to Constitutional Remedies, and Article 32. Now let's start with the first question, that is, what provision Article 32 describes? This provision is fundamental of fundamental rights as it gives right to approach Supreme Court of India directly. And Article 32 Clause 1 read as the right to move the Supreme Court by appropriate proceedings for the enforcement of the rights conferred by this part is guaranteed. It means Article 32 guarantees every individual to move the highest court of India directly in case someone violates his or her fundamental rights. Further, Clause 2 of Article 32 states that the Supreme Court shall have power to issue directions or orders or writs, including writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari, whichever may be appropriate for the enforcement of any of the rights conferred by this part. In my next video, I will discuss these 5 terms separately in detail, so keep watching. Further, Clause 3 of Article 32 states that without any prejudice to the powers conferred on the Supreme Court by Clauses 1 and 2, Parliament may by law empower any other court to exercise within the local limits of its jurisdiction all or any of the powers exercisable by the Supreme Court under Clause 2. It means the Parliament has the power to empower any other courts also to exercise these powers. Further, Clause 4 of Article 32 states that the right guaranteed by this article shall not be suspended except as otherwise provided for by this Constitution. It means normally the right to move court cannot be disturbed. However, there are certain conditions in which some other provisions of the Constitution seize the right to move the court. For example, Article 359, it states that where a proclamation of emergency is in operation, the President may by order declare that the right to move any court for the enforcement of such of the rights conferred by Part 3, except Articles 20 and 21, as may be mentioned in the order, and all proceedings pending in any court for the enforcement of the rights so mentioned shall remain suspended for the period during which the proclamation is in force or for such shorter period as may be specified in the order. It means during the emergency period, right to move court for enforcement of any of the fundamental right, except Article 20 and 21, shall remain suspended. Further, Article 358 states that while a proclamation of emergency declaring that the security of India or any part of the territory thereof is threatened by war or by external aggression is in operation. Nothing in Article 19 shall restrict the power of the state as defined in Part 3 to make any law or to take any executive action which the state would, but for the provisions contained in that part, be competent to make or to take, but any law so made shall, to the extent of the incompetency, cease to have effect as soon as the proclamation ceases to operate, except as respects things done or omitted to be done before the law so ceases to have effect. It means during the emergency period, the rights described in Article 19 shall not restrict the state to make any law or to take any executive action of such kind. Next, note. Article 226 of the Indian Constitution empowers high courts to issue different writs enumerated above under Article 32. Likewise, the Article 32 empowers Supreme Court of India to issue writ and Article 226 empowers high courts to issue same writ. So this is all about the Article 32, that is right to constitutional remedies.